Hi everyone, welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. I'm your host, delonewolf, and while we head for the couch, I was in system during the Revenant live event, or event that was organized by EVEBet. Like 4,500 players in local, something like that. That's how long I lasted after that point. I was just in tie-dye for too long and I gave up. I must say it was an amazing achievement, the game being able to handle that many people doing stuff in a single system is absolutely amazing. But on my personal end, is this fun? Honestly, I didn't enjoy having to play EVE Online in such a state. But yeah, it's awesome that it manages to still make it through something like that. And that a player-organized event can mobilize like 1% of the entire player base in a single system. That's almost mind-boggling. But I gotta be honest, it's not exactly the most fun experience I've had in the game. Still, we are here for the market, and yeah, let's start off with plex. You've probably already seen it, but we actually have 10 plex coming in at 772 million, and there still seems to be some competition and a slight downward trend. Now, if I go for the 1 month chart right here, you can see it spiked up to 800, and here is the 2-week downtrend going from 800 to 770 million. Unfortunately, once it broke 770, looks like some buyers started to come back in the market, and here over the last few days, plex have actually been a little bit flat. And so again, it's very nice to see plex going down 2 weeks in a row. But here this tail end of the chart is not a great sign for plex continuing on a downtrend. So I would still be very careful. And if you actually need plex, I would consider just ponying up 770 million ISK, because this could just be short-lived as well. It's pretty hard to tell at the moment where plex are going. But we lost like 3% of the price in 2 weeks time, which is at least somewhat of a correction. Let's quickly move on to minerals over here, which actually don't seem to have moved that much either. And let me see here, I'll write down 230 for that. So this is titanium, buyers 534, sellers 537, 0.03 ISK margin in between the sellers and the buyers, so that's almost nothing. If I go for this 1 month chart, look at that. It's pretty much flat between 533 and 539. That's pretty much where the entire month of the chart has been. So this is actually a very stable and flat market so far. Maybe a very tiny downtrend here, but the 20-day moving average, we're talking about 2 or 3 cents over the course of 3 weeks. So that's almost nothing. This is just so far a very flat market, a very calm market. Let's see if pyrite is following suit here. It's up a little bit, but again here, if I look for the 1 week chart, that's gonna be pretty much flat at 11.10 ISK. And if I go for the sellers and the buyers, 10.84 for the buyers, 11.10 for the sellers, so that's like 0.3 ISK difference. That's almost nothing on a 10-11 ISK product. And yeah, the trend for pyrite is pretty much the exact opposite for titanium on the entire month. It's just up a tiny little bit, so from 10.5 to 11 ISK. That's hardly any movement at all. And yeah, just looks like a well supplied market. Let's have a quick look maybe at supply demand here, and god damn it, car with a lot of noise. But yeah, here a big seller, 266 million units, 200 million units, again here 50 million units coming in very recently. On the buyers, 226, 162, 250 million. You've got really big orders on both sides, and so this is well supplied, this is well balanced. There is a little bit more on the buy order side, which is probably why you're seeing this slight uptrend here. I've been doing a little bit of manufacturing myself, and pyrite has been my personal bottleneck as well. So maybe some more players are experiencing that as well. But overall, this is just a healthy market that has found its price point at around 11 ISK, and it's just doing its thing right around that price. So let's have a look here at Mixalon, another Isaac one. 59.11 for the buyer, 61.25 for the sellers. That's 2 ISK difference in between them. Again, very small margin. For the 1 month chart though, this is a little bit more significant. Look at that, starting at 48 ISK, now up to 60. So this is actually yeah, a decent uptrend on a 1 month, or a decent uptick on 1 month for Mexalon. That's not that bad. Am I seeing more demand than supply? Maybe by a little bit. Here we've got 11 million coming in, 11 million units here coming in again. On the buy order side, look at that, just 30 minutes ago, 54 million units being bought at 59 ISK, 33 million units right here, 42 million here. So I'm seeing a little bit more demand than supply here again. And yeah, that is probably why we are seeing Mexalon go up, and has been going up pretty decently actually. This is 12 ISK in a single month on a 48 ISK start. That's 25%. That's really not bad and not insignificant. So Mexalon has been going counter to the very stable situation for titanium and pyrite. Let's have a look at Isogen then. Also going up, but finally starting to stabilize here at around 127 ISK in the last week or so, starting at 117 to 127. That's 10 ISK on a 117. That's less than 10%, so this is not as bad as it looks. Although it's an uptrend, it's not as big as what we just saw in Mexalon. Let's have a quick look here. 127.34 for the buyers, 127.98 for the sellers. So yeah, that's 0.6 ISK on 127. That's no margin whatsoever. That's probably the smallest margin on any of the minerals. Let's have a quick look at the numbers then. Here 20 million units still coming in at a price extremely close to the buy orders. Here 30 million being bought, also extremely close by. 2.8 million. Yeah, I'm surprised there is still supply coming in at these prices, still competition. I'd say there's a little bit more here, bigger numbers on the sell order side. So this could actually start to turn around here. I think if more people continue to dump their Isogen, trying to take advantage of the higher price of 127 ISK, I would not be surprised if it actually corrects a little bit in the next few days and weeks. Let's move on to Noxium, the in-between one. Similar chart to Isogen, but actually starts correcting back a little bit. So it hit 690 ISK, starting the month at 620. That's 70. That's a little bit more than 10%. So that's actually an okay movement for people that would have like invested in this. Right now, sellers 690, buyers 676, and 6 million units coming in like 3 minutes ago. And here 3.5 million, 5.6 million. I do think it's not going to go down that much. This still feels decently balanced. Maybe like a new consensus price. Let me have a look here. 670, yeah, 680, 690. It's probably still going to be the price where Noxium will be traded at. I'm not seeing like extremely more demand or extremely more supply. So I do think we're gonna look at a more stable situation for Noxium in the next 2 weeks. Maybe a little bit of a correction in Isogen is possible, but overall all of this actually feels decently balanced for the high-sec minerals, and yeah, just decently stable prices. It's really Mexalon, the one that rose 25% on 1 month, that has been the outlier for the high-sec minerals. Let's have a look at some null-sec ones then. Let's start with Megasite. Finally flattening out at around 950, 925. Current sellers 950, current buyers 906. I think it's extremely low for Megasite, and it also came back a little bit. So last week we were looking at 930 ISK. Looks like that was maybe a little bit too low for the market, and it's already come back to 950. It's going to be interesting to see what it's going to do in the upcoming weeks, if it can actually start to mount a rally, or if 950 ISK is the new consensus price where Megasite is going to stay for a while. Let's have maybe a quick look at supply demand here. 1 million units being bought here at 906, 2.4 million units being bought at 905. This one is quite a bit older though. So these are very opportunistic buy orders. If they get filled, we might just see lower prices. But I think people are hesitant to really come with big numbers at these low prices right here on the supply side. So I would not be surprised if a turnaround would actually come back. You're seeing 1 million units only starting to come back at like 960 ISK, and then here 966 for another 7 million units. So I do think maybe up a little bit is a possibility for Megasite. Next up, Zydrine, 415 to 550. That's actually a pretty decent margin, 140 ISK margin in between Zydrine. So that one went up, and it's, yeah, it hit 420, and over here right at the tail end you can see it's trying to bounce back off. That was like low enough for people. Still orders already back at 550. So this could be a correction, I think, from the big downtrend that we've seen in nullsec minerals. We might finally start to see the counter movement here. People no longer willing to supply the market at these prices. This guy does come in with 1.2 million units like 3 minutes ago, but at 550, not at 420 or something like that. So maybe a push back up is in the works for the nullsec ones. Let's have a quick look at Morphite. That's more Take 2 related. So it knew a small revival here a couple of months ago, but it's already going back down again, breaking 5,800 ISK. Yeah, it's below that for the sellers, 82,000 units coming in, and here 5,600 on the buy order side. It's a little bit of an outlier when it comes to minerals because it's not used in all the Tech 1 production like all the other minerals are. But these are extremely low prices as well, and actually a double dip right here, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, for me personally, this is actually really decently interesting. I'm just going to share my first thought here, looking at this chart, looking at this situation. I might invest a little bit in some Morphite as well. I've done a little bit in Megasite, I've done a little bit in Zydrine, so my hope for a correction might be a little bit of personal bias as well. But if I look at this chart, this is actually decently interesting for some investments maybe as well. So we'll see. Maybe I'll drop by Jita again and buy some more stuff for medium-term investments. Interesting, I think, how this is extremely low, and if we're gonna compare this to the plex chart, it's the exact opposite. Plex are correcting back a little bit. Maybe it's actually stalling here, but yeah, there might just be some really nice investment opportunities here, I think. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the minerals. Let's move on to some Tech 1 chips, and let's have a quick look here at the Drake on the 1 month chart. Yeah, 45 million, extremely flat. Oh, and I actually have to write down like 1240 for that. But if you looked at the 20-day moving average, it's just 45 million. There's a little bit of variation on the 5-day moving average. People coming in with some more supply, people buying up a few Drakes. But overall, on a 1 month chart, it's flat as the calmest ocean you've ever seen. At least that's how I look at this. I mean, 45 million and never even reaching the 45.5 million, or I would say the 45.6 or 7, something like that. 44.6 or 7. This is just really a flat market, well supplied, just like the high-tech minerals. This all feels decently balanced. Someone is coming in here though with 126 Drakes. This is probably going to push the price down potentially, because these are bigger numbers than what I would have expected. 52, 126, that's actually quite a lot. So this is a little bit of oversupply for the Drake short term. Be a little bit careful here, and if that trend actually continues, we might actually start to see a correction. I've said that with Cryas, I expect a lot of people to actually have big reserves of all of these ships because you could produce them more cheaply. It is possible that some people are getting fed up with sitting on all of these Tech 1 ships and will start to flood the market. Maybe here in the Drake, someone made his move, tried to unload his stocks, and this could actually cause a correction, despite the fact that Drake has been able to hold on so nicely for the entire month. Those big orders, I think they're going to drag the price down here in the upcoming week or so. Maelstrom on a downtrend for the entire month, but it tried to hit 166, corrected back. If you look at the last few weeks, very stable at around the 170 million mark. Supply demand, I would say this is looking quite healthy. 134, 311, and quite a little bit more ones here. Some recent orders here, but I'm already looking at the fourth order to be a little bit older, and over here just one recent order. and a few other ones that are trying for like 151, but they probably won't be filled. This is okay. It's actually small in volume from what I can tell here, but this all looks pretty balanced. Let's have a look at the Omen that came back after a correction, and again here last few weeks very stable at around the 9 million price mark. 9.8 for the sellers, 8.5 for the buyers. 9 million is right in the middle of that. Still people are coming in buying 10, 11 Omens at a time. Supply 15, 6, 7. All of this is still decently stable. Let's have a look at the ROC 172 to 180. The chart, that's probably, well, a little bit of a downtrend, but sellers are already back up to 180, which is around right here for the entire month, from 192 to 184. Yeah, still that's 12 million down, maybe 5-6%, something like that. It's not drastic, but it is down a little bit. Maybe a little bit of oversupply in the rocks over the entire month is possible, but it's not huge. It's not a cliff it's falling off of. So that's actually still looking okay in my book. Let's have a look at the Talos. 67.6 for the buyers, 69.5 for the sellers. Again, the 1 month chart down a little bit, but it's nothing too drastic. And here the 5-day moving average actually starting at 69.5, ending at 69. So yeah, the Tech 1 market is well supplied. People are keeping it decently balanced, and the prices are over the 1 month either stable or maybe down a few percentage points, but it's really nothing drastic at the moment. That big supply coming in for the Drakes though is one thing to keep in mind and to keep an eye on. If this starts to happen to other Tech 1 ships as well, you might actually start to see a trend build, but at the moment it's a little bit too early to tell. Let's move on to Tech 2 ships then, 17 minutes. And the command ships, they are all probably extremely high. I think this is due to the Alliance tournament. It's going to go into its final weekend now, so after this, maybe this market is actually going to be a little bit more interesting for people that actually are looking for some investment opportunities in here. But at the moment, let's go back for the 6-month chart. Absolutions, you want to sell those at 260. Look at where they come from 6 months ago. Astarte as well, extremely high. Claymore, very high as well. That weird data point still messing with the chart here. Damnation 6 months ago 220, at the moment 270. Maybe, yeah, starting to come down just a touch, but it's still too early to say that you want to invest in any of these ships, unless you really want to risk a little bit and try to take advantage of some of these spikes. But honestly, with the end of the Alliance tournament in sight, I think it's just too early to tell. Here again, the Guardian, you know, that's not something that you'll see in huge numbers in the Alliance tournament. After all, you can only get one logistics in any given team. This is more interesting for people that want to actively trade. Look at that, nice spike to 170, back down to 130, and here again a double spike and a correction back to 130. We are actually looking at 132 for buy orders, 135, 50 units coming in. We're still in an oversupply situation until someone decides that, well, these are actually really good prices to build an entire fleet. An alliance might come to swoop in, create a second spike. This is interesting, you know, 127 for the buy orders. If you could pick a few up below 130, I think you can't actually go wrong with that. Unfortunately, the command ships, you know, they're a little bit more expensive, but if you can make 10% on those, that's actually a lot of money for a single ship trade. They don't require as much volume to make big profits, which is why I like to keep an eye on them, but all of them unfortunately are extremely high, and I think it's due to the Alliance tournament. Here the Vulture right here at the tail end, look at that, is starting to come down. This is from 320 to 20 million to 300 million. That's like a 20 million drop. It's back up to 310 unfortunately for the sellers. But yeah, I think we'll see this correct and come back down after the Alliance tournament, after everything has settled down there, unless they all of a sudden decide to organize another EVE Online tournament, like on, but if it's on CC, it's not gonna actually have an impact on this. So I think you need to wait a little bit for the command ships, and if you want some actual opportunities, yeah, maybe the logistics Tech 2 cruisers are finally starting to show their spiky behavior. That's awesome for traders. And the Guardian right here, since like June, I think is a perfect example. You had 1, 2, and I would consider this a third great investment opportunity. And you had two very nice sell opportunities, 40 million higher on a 130 investment. That's 1/3 of the price. I think that's pretty good for traders and a very nice example of that. Let's take a look at Tech Tree Ships next, 2020. I think they are continue to go down. I think the 1 month chart is actually going to be decently important. So the Legion starting the month at 158, ending the month at 134. Is the oversupply situation back? Yeah, 102 legions, 11 legions. Still what's that? Less than 4 hours ago, 8 legions coming in for again competing with all of these prices. Competition is right here at the top of the sellers chart. 7 units here. Trying to be bought at like 131. The rest of the buy orders way smaller than all of the sell orders. So oversupply is back, I think. Let's have a look at the Loki chart here, correcting from 150 to 136. Looks a little bit more stable. Still 84, 10, 83, 21, 24. You're not seeing anything close to that on the buy order side. This is going to put a serious ceiling on the Tech Tree ships and is going to gradually continue to erode the price, I think, of Tech Tree ships. I would want to be manufacturing these. Look at that, 50 Proteuses coming in. That's the latest order right here, trying to compete with 12, 17, 30. Get one opportunistic order of 11 at 131, but the rest of the numbers just aren't there. Tengu again, 42, 15, 12, 14, 30, 30, 40, 41. All of them competing with one another at 136.4 million. Buy orders 1, 1, 2, 1, 7 at 126. Yeah, this is just going to continue. Unfortunately, the Tech Tree market, the oversupply has been here for over a year now. They had a momentary revival back up to like the 150, 160s, but now oversupply is right back here and it's actually going to erode the price back. If you're looking for that investment opportunity, the only information I can really give you is that from my point of view, the last trigger for the big upswing was like 125 or something like that. So I do think we still have a ways down to go for Tech Tree ships. And finally, for today's extra material, 2230, I've chosen the Interceptor just because I flew one during the Revenant event yesterday and I saw a huge amount of Interceptors. They are actually the go-to ships, I think, if you want to get to like a bigger event and with a small gang or solo, if you want to have a chance to actually see the event and get back out, the Interceptor is obviously the one you're going to go for. So let's maybe have a quick look at like the trend here, not the 1 month chart, that's maybe a little bit not what we want to see here, but let's go for a 6 month chart. Let's see where they started off. Here for the Crusader, I'm not seeing like a real trend here, although it did start between at like 17 million and right now Crusaders are going for 22 million. Nice little spike here up to 28, but I'm not seeing the trend that I was expecting. The Malediction though, starting at 19, ending up at 23. What is that, 4 million extra, about 1/5 of the price, so 20%. Same here with the Crusader. So yeah, a 20% increase on 6 months has been there. I do think increased demand is there just because of how awesome those ships are. And here the Crow though, look at that, starting at 22 million, ending up below that. So maybe people are just pumping out a lot of Crows. Are we seeing oversupply? Yeah, 127, 172 Crows coming in. It's not uniformly up as what I would have expected. The Raptor though, that's pretty nice. That's more in line with what I was expecting right here. Look at that, starting at 70 million. Huge numbers right here that have been traded in a single day, then taking off. And currently we're looking at 23 million for a Raptor. That's a nice increase in price right here. Let's have a quick look here at the Galente ones then. The Ares, well, unfortunately, yeah, not really seeing it. Starting at just below 21, ending up at 21. Sure, a few big spikes, but the trend, I'm not really seeing it. Taranis starting at 20, ending up at 23. Couple of nice spikes here. That's up 3 million, a little bit over 10%. Still, it's okay. It's up a little bit, which was what I would have expected, but not as much as what I thought it would be. The claw neck starting at 16 up to 20, that's 25% increase in price. It does seem like it can maintain itself, but yeah, there's huge supply, 72, 40, 84 right here. There's actually huge supply even at these prices. So I guess while there may be a little bit more demand, I guess people just don't lose them in those huge numbers just yet. 1850 for the stiletto, ending up at 21 million, 3 million increase, about a sixth of the price. Not bad, but not as uniform as what I would have expected. I would have thought that interceptor of all kinds would have known a huge boost in demand because of how useful they've become just for traveling and maybe moving valuable small cargo. But it's not as uniform as I would have thought. It's not as drastic as I would have thought. A few of them, most of them actually did move up like 5 to 10%, something like that. But it's not as drastic. All of them have a lot of spiky behavior as well, with big spikes of 5-6 million. No, it's actually a little bit less. I would say maybe 3, 4, up to 5 million in the spikes. Those are there, so it's actually a little bit of a combination. There's a slight trend of 5 to 10% over 6 months, but they are also behaving like the Tech 2 ships with big spikes and big corrections, with some trade opportunities in these ships. Unfortunately, the big volumes are on the sell order side, so it's actually very difficult, I think, to buy at the lowest prices, because by then supply will have dried up and you actually need a lot of interceptors to make some trade money from them. This is a difficult market, so I'm happy to see that it actually does behave like a Tech 2 market with big variations, with trade opportunities. The general trend over 6 months is there, 5 to 10% increase, because of how good these interceptors have become, being immune to bubbles. But it's not where I would put my money, just because of how many you would need to get close to what you could make in like a command ship in bigger Tech 2 ships. I definitely prefer those for trading myself. But yeah, interesting to see the interceptors not moving as uniformly as what I personally would have expected. They're a Tech 2 ship and they're behaving accordingly. There are some trade opportunities there, I think, if you know what you're doing. Anyways, that's it for this Eve Talk then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.